Hello, and thank you for joining me today on Live with a Purpose. Who's up next? Sometimes we're playing a game and we want to know who's next, or perhaps we're serving someone and we want to know who's next, or perhaps someone is in line and it's their turn to go up to the front for whatever paperwork or whatever task. Who's up next? This is essentially what Paul was telling Timothy, his young disciple. He left him as an elder, as a pastor, as a shepherd of the flock at Ephesus. And there were so many competing voices. And worse for him, he was young. Now, typically in that culture, you don't listen to young people. They don't have a voice. You speak when spoken to, when asked. The elders speak. And yet Paul made him an elder. That is an overseer of the church, of the work that he started. This was very important to Paul, obviously more important to God. And just like Jesus left his ministry after his resurrection to the disciples and to the rest of those followers, not just the 12, but just a bunch of people taking a risk, perhaps. Paul is doing the same thing with Timothy. In 1 Timothy, in the first letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 18 and 19, we read, "Timothy, my son, I am giving you this command, in keeping with the prophecies once made about you, so that by recalling them you may fight the battle well, holding on to faith and a good conscience, which some have rejected, and so have suffered shipwreck with regard to the faith." Paul was indicating to Timothy that he should not go weak, that he should not doubt or become anxious about anything, but to be emboldened that he's been chosen. In fact, we've all been chosen. This is the whole point of the Lord Jesus leaving his work, his ministry to the disciples, when he says to go out in the world and make disciples, replicate yourselves. This is what Paul is doing with Timothy. And he's telling him, don't do like others that begin well and then begin to doubt, begin to become comfortable, and leave it to others to do the work. And perhaps leave the pastor and the elders and those that look like they know what they're doing to continue the work. But that's not the way it's supposed to work. It's supposed to be me passing on what I know to you, and you passing on what you know to others, and on and on. And so you're next. Perhaps someone you know is next. And you need to be encouraging them, counseling them, helping them, building them up, letting them know that it is not by their might or their strength, but by the strength and grace of the Lord. Next, who's up? Who's up on our list of prayer? Who's up on our list to encourage? Perhaps it's someone that some of the young people that look like they're afraid, they wouldn't do any of these things. Well, bring them with you. Do the things without making them all nervous, so that they get used to the work, so they get used to praying and singing and reading the word and serving and giving and coming together in the assembly. Think about this today on Live with a Purpose.